Hello and welcome to another episode of the No Huddle Football Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and with me, as always, is Ryan. What's going on in your world these days?
Oh, not too much. Enjoying some college football lists weekends currently, so therefore stress-free weekends. And
Yep,
yeah, that's about it.
just not stressing, not yet. Well, we got a few more. You got a few more weeks of stress-free weekends with no Michigan football.
I'll be real with you. I don't got any stress-free weekends until I have zero stressful weekends until I'm not too concerned anymore. I thought about it. We'll be all right. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
yeah, feeling confident, feeling good.
Yeah, I just think we're too deep. I think we're, and this is the first time Michigan's ever been this healthy going this late into the postseason. Like we've been without running backs, we've been out quarterbacks, we've been out defensive players. So this is a fully healthy team, both sides of the ball. So should be all
There
right.
you go. Would be pretty good then. It's a little bit of a slower week, it feels like in
Yeah,
football. I don't know if that's just because of the time of the year that we're at, where it's not the newness of the season is worn off. We haven't quite got to the playoffs, or if it's just because it feels like half the league is starting backup quarterbacks these days.
it's zero excitement,
Um,
zero flash.
yeah, exactly. We're not getting the quarterback matchups we thought we were going to get. But I'd say the biggest news that's not really shocking news. It is, but it isn't. Is it's come out now that Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to be parting ways at the end of the year, and that this was kind of decided after their poor performance in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So, what are your thoughts? Is this a good move, bad move? Is it
I
they
think
just haven't had good players for him to work with? But although he is kind of the GM there too, so
exactly. So
what do you think?
those are my thoughts. So it's like I did the timing of it. I'll say by the year. This is about when I thought that either he would have been retired or he would have moved on, and it was strictly depending on how good they did without Brady and him getting Shula's record or beating Shula's record, because mathematically he would have already had it if he would had winning seasons the past 3 years. Yes,
Yep.
but he
Probably.
hasn't.
Yep.
Therefore,
Yeah.
he should have already been. This should have been about the time he would have been gone, because he would have already passed it. He probably would have tried to, bump them numbers up a bit so no one's coming for his heels anytime soon, and then that all would have been fine. However, I think his ego in the way he drafts players and then the shots he takes. We've talked about this on earlier episodes of like, yes, you get it right sometimes, and sometimes it's spectacular when you get it right, but you get it wrong so often, so very often. And I think that's
Yeah,
what,
I think
and
his
Kraft was, I think, more than patient, obviously, with someone who's given you that many championships. But I think, at the end of the day, it's his name that signs them checks, and those checks are getting smaller and smaller as far as like income coming into the team because it's a losing team.
no. Yeah, and I think maybe sometimes we overlook in the past the a lot of the bad draft picks because they had Brady and he could make those things work. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they've had some really good picks over the year, but man, they've really missed, especially in recent years. And I don't know if it's just the NFL has evolved and he hasn't evolved with it,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was just covered up so much by Brady's performance out on the field that like he could miss on a receiver and not
Didn't
get the
matter.
best receiver. Yeah, could draft a receiver in the first round who ends up being the 10th best receiver of that draft class, but he was made to look better by Brady being there, you know.
Yeah. Or he may sign a lacrosse player into a wide receiver position that performs fairly well when needed. Like shit like that. Like
Yeah.
it's just so weird with him. But like I think his time has come. He'll probably go to the Commanders or Carolina or just somewhere to limp along to wherever Shula's like 347 or something like that. Yeah, 347 is Don Shula. So once he gets to 348, I see him just like, oh, we're done here.
And where is he at right now on the win list?
He 332. So literally, he would have had it if he would have just drafted better players.
Yep. Yeah, he should have easily had that, but I don't know. Now it might take him another 2 seasons
I mean,
to
if
get
he
there.
if at this rate, yes, but maybe he'll stumble upon a team, Chargers. Well, with that shit, maybe even that. Commanders, Panthers, they have players there. They could probably whip into somewhat of shape. But it's not his,
I don't know. Who do they have?
But it's not his players. Could it be any worse? Yeah. It's not his players.
No.
I mean, it could be the Steelers. But yeah.
So that was going to be my other question. So you think he will go somewhere next year, or do you think he'll be someone that takes a year off?
He doesn't have the time to take a year off. He's in his 70s.
Well, I mean, even if not by his own choice, because sometimes these coaches get fired and then nobody wants him that first year, and then they bring him in the next year.
I think there'll be a team that needs, I wouldn't say morale booster by any means or culture change, because he's not the guy, but like maybe like a shock to the system. Maybe there's like a group of like, there's 53 dudes in the locker room that are maybe a bunch of fucking uppity cunts, and he's going to come in there and just see ya. Yeah. Like I could see that being a beneficial thing to some teams, like get rid of like toxic people, because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, oh yeah, you gave me 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, but guess what? You threw a game-ending pick 6, so see ya. Like,
I would say out of those two teams that you mentioned, I don't think Carolina would work, because Bryce Young is not a traditional pocket passer so much.
Bill's head would explode.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work for his coaching style. I could see Washington more so out of the two, thinking about pieces. They have
Sam Howell.
They have Sam Howell at quarterback, who I think is pretty good. You have Eric Bieniemy at offensive coordinator.
Another year without being a head coach.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I mean, if you look at it this year, and I mean, I think I saw a thing. I don't know how it stacks up NFL stat wise, but like fantasy quarterback wise, Sam Howell is within a point or two of Patrick Mahomes this year.
Not too bad.
With all the, if you look at yards and you look at, because sometimes it can get a little confusing. You compare this guy's better in yards, but this guy's better in touchdowns. Fantasy football, I think, can kind of help level out all the comparisons, and you can look and see. And I looked even in our league, which is pretty standard scoring for quarterbacks, and they are neck and neck. Patrick Mahomes is a couple of points better. So like that shows that he's got a decent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They know he's not Patrick Mahomes right now, but he's got a good quarterback. I think they have probably an underrated receiver room right now.
Oh,
they
big
have
time.
Two decent running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Robinson's getting a lot better.
Tight ends aren't bad.
And Antonio Gibson is good. Logan Thomas is good when he can stay healthy. So like they have some people there, and then they had some defensive players. I know they got rid of some. So I think he could be maybe a good fit there in Washington. But I don't know if Washington's going to say, hey, we just tried an old school coach. We want to look for some young, fresh, coach, or maybe they'll promote their offensive coordinator and finally give him a chance.
Yeah, right.
What do you got to lose other than a few more games?
Yeah.
Like, give that man a shot already.
Yeah, I think he would have a real fun team to watch. Yeah. Very often, like a Bruce Arians team, just like a whole lot of throwing.
Yes. And I could see, give him the reins. I could see him, let him take over. I have a feeling that if they do not make the playoffs, Todd Bowles might be out here in Tampa. Go team up with him somewhere, Washington, wherever else. I would like the two of them together. One running one side of the ball, the other one running the other side of the ball.
What if Todd Bowles what if he got demoted back to defensive coordinator? Eric Bieniemy was like, fuck this place. Washington sucks. Comes down here to become the head coach. So you have a really great defensive coordinator. Let's be real. Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator. And then you put Eric Bieniemy, who hopefully is going to be a great offensive coach one day. And the talent's there. Say what you want about Baker. He can sling the ball, but I think they'd be more inclined to keep Mike Evans here, which they should, but it's not looking too hot, man. You're getting to the end of the season.
I don't think I've ever seen a spot where someone demoted someone from a head coach to a defensive coordinator or down to an offensive coordinator.
Would you rather be demoted or fired?
Yeah. Well, normally they get fired and then rehired somewhere else as that step down demotion.
I mean,
Not
we
saying I'm
like we
against it,
liked
but
him as a
I've never
defensive
seen it. It
coordinator.
would be. Yep. Oh yeah. And we've got the good pieces there in
Yeah.
play.
He's just one of those dudes that just needs to
some of
focus on the one side of the ball. Like, just this is you. Clearly, this is
very
you.
good. Very good defensive coordinator, and it just sometimes the head coaching decisions.
Mm.
I think one of the things that gets me with him is, speaking about Todd Bowles, is like when it's time to throw the challenge flag versus when it's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times when, like, you can look at it and it's like it's time to throw the challenge flag, and he'll like stand there and like wait. And I don't know, does he have the wrong people upstairs watching the video, and they just can't make a decision to help him out? Or is he like hesitating? And then he finally threw a challenge flag this past week. But like you look at the review, we looked at one replay. We're like, oh yeah, no, they had the right call. The Bucks would not win a challenge, and then he throws the flag. I'm like, one time I don't want you to throw the challenge flag, and you do, and we lost it clearly.
Maybe you had to listen to the people with the producers with the NFL script. Like, hang on, run some numbers. Yeah. All right, now throw it.
Yeah,
we lost the timeout. Oh shit. Huh?
Yeah. Add a little drama to the end of the game. Who do you, now that Belichick is going to be out, like I'm kind of surprised, like if you know you're going to be fired by the end of the year, why is he still there now? Why do they not just let him go? Like what the Panthers did, get rid of your coach.
I mean,
you stand to gain by keeping him there, knowing he's about to get fired.
I think it's just a respect thing of like what he's done, like what he means to that franchise. Like at least let him just finish it out, bro. Like they know they're not going anywhere. Like there's no pressure for him to like, prepare for the playoffs. Like he belongs. I mean, to say he belongs there, but he deserves, to finish this season. I would say like he's given us, some fucking great teams. His fault or not. So yeah, finish it out, bud. Then. Pack of shit, sorry.
Then you're out.
Yeah.
Do you think for the Patriots then, are they going to go a younger coach, an established coach? You think they're going to look for an offensive-minded person, defensive-minded person? Where do you think they should go?
I don't know. I think this is one of the few times that we'll able to see in the NFL like a complete like rebranding of a franchise. Because like their whole identity was the Patriot way, but the Patriot way leaves with Bill Belichick.
Yes.
Like Brady tried to instill a little bit of it down here, and it only worked with him, obviously. Yep. So like when Belichick leaves, there is no Patriot way, because it's never the Patriot way. It was the Belichick way. That's just what it was. And on some way it was Tom's way, but that came later. So I think it's just going to be a complete rebranding of that entire franchise, like a complete like identity of who they are. Like, are they an offensive team? Are they going to be a defensive powerhouse? Like, are they like who knows? I think the Steelers will be the next ones.
Or what, to get rid of their coach?
Oh yeah, and just a complete like rebranding of who they are, because this is going to be their last year or Tomlin's first year of having a losing season. I just firmly believe that. I said in the beginning of the year, I firmly believe that, and I think that is, and they're gonna fire him because of it. Which is like any other franchise, if you have your first losing season, it's like, oh shit, damn. All right, let's reel it back in. But the Steelers are like, you're supposed to be in them playoffs, but
they're what, 7-6 now. One of the teams we're going to talk about more later, but to have a losing season, they would need to lose 3 out of their last 4.
Yeah, and it seems like their sideline is collapsing within itself.
Yeah, not an easy schedule. You got Colts fighting for a playoff spot, Bengals fighting for a playoff spot, Seahawks and Ravens to close out the year. So yeah, I could
unkind
see that happening with
it's an unkind
not an easy way to close out the year. But I don't know. I'd be interested to see I would think for the Patriots, bring in an offensive-minded coach, because I feel like the offense is what's been so bad. Belichick has been historically a defensive coach. Mm-hmm. The defense has looked pretty good, but the offense just looks completely stagnant. They had that stat where like they were the first team to give up 10 points or fewer over 3 games and lose all 3 of them.
That's like a Buck stat. It should be at least.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That
90s Bucks stat.
only the yeah, the like mid to late '90s when the defense was starting to get better, but the offense was still god awful. Defense would lock it down, definitely be under 20 points every game.
What a barn
15
burner,
points,
6-3. That was the with the Bucks versus Browns in their Super Bowl year. It was 6-3.
yeah, so bad. So I don't know who would be good. Like where are we going to pull a coach from? Are they going to go college ranks? Because that would be a complete overhaul. Like if you want complete overhaul, to go from the NFL, Bill Belichick, Patriot way to a college coach,
Yeah.
unless you're going for a Nick Saban or somebody.
But he's, again, same age as Belichick. Like,
He's not going.
yeah, there's no fucking way. I mean, I'm sure they'll try to reach for Harbaugh.
Pull someone from like, yeah, there you go. Like a Harbaugh could be good.
I'm sure they'll reach for him. They'll probably, Lincoln Riley, they'll probably reach out to him. I don't think what's his face, Brian Kelly. I don't think he really deserves it, but that's another big name.
Whoever they bring in, if they'll give them the coach / GM title,
it's gonna be a real football. It's probably gonna be a real football team from now on. Like you do this, you do that.
Yeah,
it's what they need.
Get a real GM.
Yeah, because obviously build it and evolve with the game and the people who play the game. So it showed. Like again, Tom Brady made names. Bill Belichick does not make names. He picks them at random.
Draws them out of a hat and hopes for the best. Who knows what was going on there? It was rough. So let's take a look at the 10-win teams in the NFL right now. We've got 4 of them. We have the 49ers, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Eagles. How would you rank them 1 to 4 and why?
So I was thinking like, the one AFC team kind of stands alone. The Baltimore Ravens are quietly good. So I want to put them higher just based off of that. But when I go to the other 3 to try to work out the others, they've all lost either to each other or have had some embarrassing loss elsewhere. So it's who's really better out of that? How can you determine that the Cowboys are better than the Eagles, even though the Cowboys for a while were the Cardinals' only win? But I would probably have.
We got ourselves a real college football conundrum here, trying to pick the top 4.
Yeah, exactly, BCS style. I would probably have to say San Francisco, Dallas. No, I'll say San Francisco, Ravens, Dallas, and then the Eagles.
What you put each one of them where they're at?
What was that?
Stands out?
Oh, well.
I said what stands out by each to make you place them? What puts the 49ers at 1? What puts the Eagles at 4?
Well, one big factor is the fact that San Francisco's already clinched their division. That's a pretty good thing. That's pretty good. That's pretty good to, that's how you want to go to the Super Bowl, is by winning your division and having home field advantage. But as far as the Cowboys and Eagles, the Eagles lately have been having some really odd games. The last 3 or 4 weeks have been very out of character, and it's not really a good time to be doing that towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Whereas the Cowboys look like they're putting it together a little bit more and more each week. Each week looks a little bit more and more impressive, and then obviously stomping the dog shit out of the Eagles, pretty impressive. But as far as the Ravens, they've just been quietly whooping ass throughout the AFC. They've taken 3 losses, but all these other dudes have taken 3 losses as well. So it's okay, that's not a knock against them by any means, but they've been quietly whooping ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for my ranking, we're very close. I have the 49ers 1. I have the Ravens 2. I have the Eagles 3 and the Cowboys 4. And this is what I was looking at. I went full BCS on this, and I looked at quality wins and their losses, right? So the 49ers, and I'm basing this off like win-loss record of other teams, but what I consider their quality wins, they had the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Eagles. So like of these three other teams that we're talking about, they've already beat 2 out of 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to put them at the top. And then, looking at their losses, you have the Browns, Vikings, Bengals. Browns are pretty good. Bengals, I think that was before they had lost. That was Joe Burrow was still there. So still a good Bengals team. And then Vikings, I don't remember what point in the year they played them with or without Kirk Cousins. And then the Ravens, like you said, they're at the top of the AFC, which was supposed to be a very stacked AFC. They're at the top there. They have some good wins over the Texans, the Browns, and the Lions, with losses to the Colts, who are a playoff hopeful team, the Steelers, a playoff hopeful team, and the Browns, a playoff hopeful team. So it came down to like Eagles and Cowboys. Who am I going to put over who? They've beat each other once.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, I almost can take those games out. And then but I'll start with the losses. Cowboys had a bad loss to the Cardinals, which was a joke. Let me look at this one real quick. So they lost to, of course, the Eagles, and they lost to the 49ers. So one loss was a really bad loss. Their 2 other losses were against top teams, right, for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Eagles, their losses, I see I have one of these marked wrong. So they lost to the Jets, which was a pretty embarrassing loss for them. And then they lost to the 49ers. Oh, this one's the one I have wrong. And then they lost to the Cowboys.
Yes.
So
handedly.
Out of their 3 losses, they're like their losses pretty much it mirrors the Cowboys. Because you have a crappy team.
Mm-hmm.
Jets and Cardinals, they each lost to. They both lost to the 49ers, and they both lost to each other. But then I flip to the other side. So if I take away their quality win against each other, the Eagles still have beat the Dolphins, and they've beat the Bills. The Cowboys, if you take away that Eagles win, have beaten nobody. That's
Fair.
their only one win, which they split.
Fair, but if you look at the games to which they played each other, and then this is weird that I'm playing devil's advocate for the Cowboys at this point, but if you look at their wins together, the two divisional wins, or the 2 1v1s, right? The first one was 28-23 Eagles. That's a pretty close game. The second game, 33-9. What was it? 12? Oh, I don't have the score pulled up.
It was 33-13.
Cowboys are clearly the better team between the two.
Well, like I said,
you had a close game and then a lopsided game between same teams.
But again, I've got the Eagles with 3 quality wins and the Cowboys with 1 quality win. And their losses are identical. You can't look at their losses.
But Alabama deserves to be 4.
Florida State. So that's how I came up with it, though, is whenever I was comparing losses, I saw and I looked at the wins. They've got 1 good win under their belt. The Cowboys do.
Yeah. It was the first 2 were easy. The second 2, obviously, it could go either way.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You could make a case either way. But the Cowboys, listen, now comes the Cowboys, in my eyes, could jump the Eagles in the next few weeks. Because now the Cowboys, they get to the tough part of their schedule. They have, as far as when they can pick up some quality wins, they got the Bills at Buffalo. You have the Dolphins at Miami, the Cowboys at home. And then you have the Commanders the last week. But for the next 3 weeks, go win all 3 of those, and now you have 3 quality wins under your belt to go with that 1 Eagles one. Make it 4 quality wins in a row. I'll be super impressed.
Just in time for them to fold in the first round.
I was about to say, I think also, too, a little bit of my ranking was tradition. And I was thinking of their tradition of folding in the first round.
That's just about it based off a principle. They have to go last.
Because this is that time of year they start heating up a little bit, and then everyone says this is their year, they're going to win, and then they get a first round. Or last year, of course, they beat the Bucks, who didn't belong in the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they can keep it up. So let's talk about the good teams that are barely good, the 7-win playoff teams in the AFC, the ones that are all fighting for a spot to make it in, because the AFC is super crowded right now. For the 7-win teams, only 2 of them can make the playoffs. You have Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo, all at 7 and 6. Which 2 out of those do you think have the best chance to make the playoffs?
I think my Brownies do. And like
they're an 8-win team. I'm not
that's right. Yeah.
them.
Sorry, I was looking. Sorry.
7-win teams.
So this is gonna sound weird, but I think the Broncos will get in based off of winning their division at this point.
That's true. That's a factor you got to bring in. They're only 1 game out right now.
So that is a weird scenario that we weren't expecting. So maybe Kansas City might have to think about if they're going to be one of these fringe teams. But I will have to say the Bills. That's probably a team with the best case scenario. And then either
you're going. As you say, you're going Bills in Denver.
I was gonna say Bills for sure, and then between whoever levels out Kansas City or the Broncos, it's gonna be one of these 2 teams that's probably gonna be, the other wild card. One of them is gonna win this division, obviously, but I think like the Broncos, I don't know what they're doing, but they're trending upwards.
Yeah, they won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, because they're on a 1. Yeah.
Oh wait, that was, you were asking before the show, did any of us get any picks right? I picked Denver as an upset 2 weeks in a row. They lost the game last week. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago, but then they won this past weekend. That was because I think it was them over the Chargers or something. I don't remember.
I believe so, yeah.
Who did they play? Denver. Yeah. Broncos 24-7 over the Chargers. The Chargers are a mess. I have no idea why they were the favorite in that game.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's out for this week too, so hang it up.
and Herbert's out now too.
Yeah, just hang it up.
He's done for the year. Another quarterback gone. Another star quarterback gone. What a down year for quarterbacks. Another reason why Tyreek should win the MVP. It's not the.
Or they'll give it to the last healthy guy, CJ Stroud, because he's got young bones.
That's it. So for my 2 teams that I put, so I had Denver as one of them because they are on that hot streak now. They somehow turned around. And I looked at their remaining schedule. So they're going to have a tough game potentially with the Lions this week in Detroit. But then after that, you have the Patriots. You have the Chargers and the Raiders.
This looks like
it sounds 3-0. Like at least 3 out of 4 wins.
Yeah,
3 out of 4 wins there. So they're what, 10 and
7?
Yeah, 10 and 7. I was trying to think of is that the new? Yeah, so 10 and 7. I could see them making it as a 10 and 7 team. And then my other one is I'm going to put Houston. Again, looking at their schedule, they have a very let me go back. Houston, that's the one I want. So Houston, they have the Titans this week, a very up and down team. They had, of course, that miraculous comeback win over the Dolphins. But still, I'm not really getting behind the 5-8 Titans. So you have that. You have a very tough game against the Browns, but at home. And then you play the Titans yet again. And then they close out the year with the Colts. Which, side note, did you see that the Texans this week, the Titans this week, they are going to wear their Houston Oilers uniforms against the Houston Texans.
That's pretty sick. Can't wait. I'll actually watch that. I love those uniforms, so it'd be nice to see.
Yeah, those are like some of the nicest throwback uniforms.
Yeah.
But I could see them winning 3 out of 4, maybe losing to the Browns, and then there you go, another 10-7 playoff team. Those I like. I think there was some controversy between Houston and Tennessee over who should get those uniforms because Tennessee is that's within our lineage, our history of our
Yes, the
franchise.
franchise, yeah.
Yeah, but then Houston's like, well, but it's Houston. Because, I mean, you think about it with the Ravens, they moved and their lineage is to have the Browns, but they didn't keep the Browns uniform. They don't ever use the Browns uniform. They gave it right back to Cleveland.
So that means the Cowboys could technically use both the Texans and the Chiefs because they were the Dallas Chiefs at one point, and there was also the Dallas Texans. Yeah. So if the Texans wanted to play that, I would be, if I was the Cowboys, I would step in like, all right, well, I can take all y'all shit.
It's been all you guys. Been around long enough.
Yeah. We own Dallas, my guy. You can't claim anything, Dallas.
Speaking of the Chiefs, I think everybody saw and talking about the controversial call. Do we want to call it controversial?
It's a football call, dude. Like, it fucking happens. Like, and I'll say this because I wanted to say this as a Browns fan, right there, right? I strictly remember a couple of years ago, whenever the Chiefs were gonna end up playing the Bucks in the Super Bowl. Pretty sure it was a very controversial call in the divisional round of Chiefs versus the Browns, when the Browns definitely should have won that game and played in the AFC Championship game. But Patrick Mahomes got a call in his favor. So I don't really give a fuck, you know? Like, yeah. Cry me a river, dude. Yep. You robbed me of a chance. You robbed me of a chance.
Did you see the video I posted on Facebook about that? About him complaining about the call?
No, but I didn't want to watch it because in my head, all I could think about was like his voice and like Kermit, like, these goddamn refs fucking throwing flags. Like, that's all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have. So it doesn't have him talking at all.
Okay.
He's not talking. It's some guy just talking about. He's saying, "Hey, I understand where it was really frustrating about how you didn't get the call and blah, blah, blah. Kind of like how in this game, this team didn't get the call." And it just goes through and shows, like, from the last year or two, all these calls that went strongly in Kansas City's favor that shouldn't have.
Yeah.
All these bad calls that were like game-changing calls, like the one you talked about. And there was a one last year. What was it? There was
in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl.
Yeah. the pass interference call where the ball was like a mile over the guy's head, and they're like, "Oh, pass interference!" Like, wait a second.
When have we ever called it?
Grabbing on him. Yeah, the guy's grabbing on him. Yes, but the other part of it has to be catchable. I'm sorry, that guy's not jumping 18 feet in the air to catch that ball. He's just not going to do it. Let me see his vertical from the combine.
Yeah, but then
those
add
knees
pads.
are old now. Let's subtract a little bit, you know. Yeah, and now it's in pads and on some older knees. So I thought it was the right call. He was clearly over. Listen, if they don't call that sometimes, but they did then, it's just like holding. Sometimes holding happens on almost every play. Sometimes they call. And it's not like they waited, because there was a play a few weeks ago where there was a penalty on the defense, but they didn't call it until after the defense intercepted the ball away from the Chiefs. It was a very delayed flag.
Mm.
Like, the penalty happened, there was a holding, and then they weren't going to do anything, and then the other team intercepted it, and then the ref, like, way late, oh, okay, we need to throw a flag, play doesn't count. This one, like, the guy had his hand on the flag ready to go, and as soon as the play happened, threw the flag. So it's not like one of those ones where he was waiting to see what happened, because of course with the play that happened, it was a very cool play that happened.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool
like
play.
It'd have been cool to see not only that play happen, but that be potentially a game winning play. But
yeah, because that's what you live for as a fan, is those kind of plays. But
yeah, exactly. But like, you can see that you're offsides. I mean, how can you not look down the line and realize I'm at least a full, like, half a foot beyond
like
our center's hand right now, and the ball and everything.
Yeah, like how do you not, that is one thing I never understood. Like you can see, like, when the receivers will look over at the side judge or whatever, and they're like, oh shit, and they'll like take a couple steps back, like they'll pivot back or whatever. I don't like the ones that don't, and like there's like they're like, how do you not even like look down at the center, like look where the ball is placed, and like, okay, it's this. I can imagine it's this far away from the hashtag or the hash mark. I'm like, okay, I'll put my foot about that.
Yeah.
Nope, full
And it
stride
was
above.
that one too, and it wasn't like it was between 2 yard markers either. Like the ball was very clearly on whatever yard line it was, but it wasn't in the middle. And he's sitting there standing beyond the yard marker where he's at. Like you're like standing over top. Like, come on, man. Don't be mad at it. Just
And the Chiefs
take a,
fans
take
like,
a
but
half step. You are fast enough. He is plenty fast enough. Take a half step back.
eh,
How much is that really going to
he-
kill you going down the field if you started a half foot back?
yeah, it's like, do you really have to have
know?
that quarter inch on that defensive back? Like, if so, that's maybe on you that you need
Yeah.
that much extra space.
He's got plenty of speed. He can blow right by. I know football is a game of inches and seconds, but now look, now it costs you a game, and that's what I want to say is the Chiefs receivers, is that going to keep them from winning a Super Bowl this year? Because they've been having a lot of problems with drops. With I think Tony's had a few issues where he's done stupid stuff that's cost them games. So, like, are they a Super Bowl? Because I think, didn't we both pick them at the beginning of the year, like 49ers Chiefs? With
Well, I think
49ers
so.
going over, but
Yeah,
I don't feel so confident in that right now.
I haven't since like I would even say midway through the season. Like I already figured out to eat that pick, but I mean, you say like it's gonna cause them to not win a Super Bowl, bro. I don't even think they're gonna fucking make it. Like not even close. No, dude. Like you gotta think. Like yes, you can have good games and bad games throughout the season, but like you need those receivers for these 3-4 games. You need those guys. You have to win. It's not like, oh fuck, we'll get them next week. The fuck you will. You'll be on vacation.
Yeah. And it's not even that they're like average receivers. It's just
Yeah,
the
they're
way they
so-
performed this year. They've
Who
been
are
below
they?
Average.
Who are
Like,
they?
outside of Travis Kelsey, who's a tight end, like although Rashi Rice, he's looked good. I feel like he
Yes.
could stick around.
Other dude
But I feel like
suspended.
outside of him and Kelsey, clean house. Just get rid of all of them.
Yeah, the Ross dude is like going to be suspended for some time now for violating whatever people violate when they're on the commissioner's exempt list. And all that. You know, smoking weed, and you shouldn't be smoking weed, but so he's probably done for like probably all next year too. You know, like that's usually how it goes. Look at Josh Gordon. You know,
No, that's because he was like a 14-time offender.
well, he has mental health issues, so like he was doing the best he
Yeah.
could, and the NFL's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Still stupid rule.
It's the dumb. The NBA doesn't care.
Yeah. So I think it's a few more years and the NFL will really realize like it's not a performance enhancing drug.
If any, no, you can't. Like, I'll say that just like real quick. Like, if you play stoned, or if you do any physical activity like inebriated for marijuana, you're like as an athlete, that is so counterproductive because you do not produce testosterone to make you push forward. The thing it lowers, like it inhibits that.
Yep.
So no athlete would ever do it in game. So I'm not sure where the NFL would care of like a product on field because no athlete's dumb enough to do that. But off field, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Let me recover.
Who cares if it helps, if it helps him sleep at night, gets better rest, there you go. Then you're not going to, like you said, you're not going to lose a quality of product. I don't think it's giving anyone an unfair advantage. It's a silly rule. Just needs to go away. But do you think next year, because of let's say they don't even make the Super Bowl and they have more receiver problems, do you think they then address that in the offseason and say what's the biggest name available either for trade? Devontae Adams, who's unhappy in Vegas, or somebody else, a Mike Evans, who's almost done with his time in Tampa, probably. Unfortunately, you think they go target one of these really big guys, or do they go with the New England plan and stick with kind of these mid-tier receivers?
I say they'll probably do both. They'll probably draft a big name receiver coming out of college, and they'll probably sign one of these people that are going to be a transient player here because their teams are too stupid to re-sign them, i.e. Mike Evans. But I could see Mike Evans going there and being very successful because it's like, oh fuck, Kelsey's covered. I'm gonna wing it the fuck down the field to Mike Evans. Oh look, we're successful.
That would be a scary duo right there. Patrick Mahomes throwing to Kelsey and Mike Evans.
Yeah.
That would be watch out rest of the NFL right there.
Then you'd have
And then
probably
if you
undefeated
sign a
teams.
young talent, yeah, or go draft a young player, maybe bring in one other receiver somewhere, a mid-tier receiver that's can be productive.
Yeah, slot guy, someone serviceable in the
maybe
slot.
Someone that's been underrated because they haven't had a great quarterback, but you can see the potential there. Listen, speaking on Mike Evans, though, I don't think they won't sign him because they don't want to. I don't know what their cap situation is. I think they're one of these teams like what the Rams are going through, and we're about to go through. This was the cost of winning a Super Bowl. Is a lot of times you have to go through these issues with the cap right afterwards. So I don't know what kind of money they have, and if it's like they sign him, and then they have to get rid of like 6 or 7 or 8 other players, or it's like
I
where
think
do you go from there? I would love to see him retire as a Buck, but I just don't know if it's possible.
I think if they would have done the due diligence with his contract and like made him feel that they wanted him, I think he would have taken a huge hit on his side on the front end. Yeah. Like, why not? He already has the Super Bowl. He's 1 season away from tying an almost unbreakable record with Jerry Rice's 11 consecutive 1,000 yards receiving seasons. Like that, like no one's ever. They'll be the only 2 motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
For a while. It's like he has basically every Bucks receiving stat. Like, you have everything here. Like, I'll take the hit, but take care of me afterwards. I did a shitload for y'all,
Yeah.
But I think that if they would have done their due diligence, I think they could have got that. But a lot of teams don't think of it like that. But here I am not owning a franchise.
Yep. Well, we will see how it plays out for the Chiefs and sadly Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But that'll bring us to the end. We will do our picks for the week, 2 locks and an upset. I believe you said I go first this week.
Mm-hmm.
So for my layup pick, I'm going to just go ahead and take the 49ers over the Cardinals.
Yeah, probably a pretty good one.
Of the week. Yeah. 13.5-point favorite right now. I will take that. Even though it's on the road, it's close. I don't think that matters.
I'm going to take the Rams over the Commanders for my first lock.
Okay.
The Rams are getting hot again. It looks like everyone's, gelling again all of a sudden. So, better than the Commanders for sure. So, take that lock.
I'm not going to go 2 layups in a row. So I'm going to go for my second one. I'm going to take the Saints over the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Tommy DeVito and the Giants. I think this will be a real test for him, like a real tough defense for him. And he's got to go into New Orleans and everything. It's always fun to watch him and the crowd and everyone gets super into it. But this might be one of those real tough weeks. You got the Saints right there fighting for a playoff spot or for a division title. I think they're going to give them everything they can. And I see the Saints coming out on top in that game.
Yeah, for sure. The Giants are weird. They're like, they're always weird, but I don't know what the fuck to think of the team. The Saints all again, another weird team this year. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Very underperforming.
Yeah, every week I'm like, what is happening here? My next lock will be my Brownies over the Bears.
Okay.
In Cleveland to get fucked.
Yep. Defense is on fire. Is Justin Fields?
I think so.
This week? I can't keep up with who's starting and not starting anymore.
I think so. He probably will be not starting the second half of that game because either they're going to fold him in half or he's just going to get exposed.
Get to meet Myles Garrett.
God, I hope so. Like over and over, like at least 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. You're gonna take some joy in watching that game.
Oh, yeah.
And your favorite team versus your least favorite quarterback.
Yeah, right.
Myles Garrett to feast. So for my upset pick, gonna pick your power ranked number 3 team, the Cowboys, to go into Buffalo and pull off a win, and try and overtake the Eagles in my rankings. I
So
have a very inconsistent Bills team, so I'll take the Cowboys to go in and say, hey, they got to prove themselves. They did it once with the Eagles, but they need to show that wasn't a fluke. So they got to do it 2 weeks in a row.
so that was going to be my upset pick. So I will pick my second one, which I think is going to be the Broncos over the Lions in Detroit.
Ooh. Yeah, the Lions have been a little.
Yeah, they're a little suspect right now. So I think the Broncos on the rise and the Lions look a little wounded. So they might get a little upset win here.
What is that game? That game is Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. The marquee Saturday night game.
Because the Lions have lost 2 out of the last 3. Packers on Thanksgiving, and then they lost to the Bears this past week. So that'll be good. I'm glad that we have Saturday football this week because I don't know if you've seen, it's going to be nasty weather, especially up by you. It's going to be some nasty weather on Saturday. So there's not going to be much to do to get out of the house. So sit inside, watch some football.
As long as my internet's working, I don't give a fuck if it rains.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there ain't nothing to do up here.
It'll be a Saturday. What's that?
So there ain't nothing to do up here otherwise. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's we out here. The sticks.
On the sticks. You can go, go do some sightseeing in the villages.
Do all the time. It's rough.
Just go buy some loofahs and then swap them out on some people's golf carts when they're parked at the country club there.
I'm pretty sure
Make things a little interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the color if the colors represent different weird shit, so that would be cause some chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Not into this,
Cause
but
some
you're
chaos.
fucking loofahs.
You got the yellow loofah.
Yeah. You like being pissed on,
Now
right?
bend over. We're getting way off topic here. Way off topic. I'm sure anyone that's not in Florida is very confused right now.
Don't worry, it's our joke.
Anyways, that will do it for this week's episode of the No Huddle Football Podcast. Before we go, do you have any parting thoughts for our viewers?
No, at the time of this recording today is 12/13. Yesterday was this big guy's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to Chris. But other than that, no, that's all I have to say.
That's it for this week. Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
Do I think that thoughts are absolutely going through Robert Kraft's head? Do I think that he's talking to some people in his circles?